right, everyone, welcome to Beyond the Trailhead. We got an incredible guest with us this week, but we're also in a unique location. We're over at Switchback in New Orleans for the trade show, and we wanted to have a guest over that I've wanted to have for a while. If you're in the industry and you've been trying to create your own product, or if you have a product out there, you've probably heard of or are using Ripstop by the Roll. So without further ado, we have Jameson with Ripstop by the Roll. How are you?
Fantastic.
Awesome. How's the show?
It's been a lot of fun. Being in New Orleans is great.
Yeah.
We have amazing food, but also I think just seeing people is, I think a lot of us, especially an e-commerce company like ourselves, it's easy to get stuck behind the screen, and being out just lends itself to interesting conversations, fun conversations, and obviously a lot of benefit from those of us that are trying to do business.
Yeah, and if we look tired, it's because there was a tropical storm that came through, and then there's tornado warning, so everybody's phone started going off at 5:30 in the morning saying there was a tornado.
And then again for the flood watch.
Yeah, flood watch, and then now we all canceled our flights and changed everything. But it was great to just see you guys on the show floor, seeing people kind of coming by and interacting with you. So on the show and on the pod, we just kind of talk about the story behind the brand, how it began, and then, the ups and downs of the space. So I guess, without delaying it and stuff like that and keeping you from the show floor, even though there's only a couple hours left in the show, kind of just tell us about Ripstop by the Roll, how it began, and then what it is that Ripstop by the Roll is.
We design and distribute technical materials. And I mean that very broadly, as in we work with everyone from some of the bigger companies that are here at Switchback, helping them design extremely specific applications for their with custom materials, all the way down to DIYers. And the cliche that we use is 1 to 1 million yards, because even for the businesses, that can be extremely valuable. Sometimes you don't want 50,000 yards of something, or even 2,000 yards. You want to be able to prototype with 1 to 3 to 5 yards of nothing. And a lot of the companies that are here, it's one of my favorite part about the outdoor industry is a lot of original founders are still making prototypes and are extremely involved in the production of their first pieces. And that's a big part of where we come in too, is finding things even to prototype with can be extremely difficult, especially the same high quality, high tech fibers and fabrics that you want, that you see like Dyneema material, ultra materials, and some of those things. And that's where we come in. The other part of that is, like I said, the custom development side. Oftentimes when we produce things, if you're going to a sew shop, whether it's overseas or domestically, you get handed kind of the fabric book. Oftentimes they'll say, hey, what materials and finishings do you want? And you are, in some ways, you're hand-fed the things that they want you to have. And although there's absolutely nothing wrong with those, if you need a certain application, especially in the outdoor world, you can end up with fibers and fabrics that are not really optimized for what you want them to do. It's what is given to you. And that's where we've come in, is try to give people effectively the same access to the high performance materials the biggest brands have, all the way down to the smaller companies, but also anyone in between. As long as if you don't have the person to say, hey, we want this fiber composition, this finish, this fabric, this weave type, then you could be missing out.
Okay, so go back a little bit to Ripstop and how it just, where did the idea come from for Ripstop by the Roll?
It came from Kyle's attic. So Kyle Baker's our founder and CEO. His dad was really into hammock camping and would go to what they call hangs, which is a funny word to say sometimes. It doesn't sound appropriate, but they go to these hangs and hang out. They hang hammocks. And hammock camping is fantastic. If you're not into it, then you've got to look it up. It's the most invested group of people in camping. Like, there's the ultralighters, but then there's hammock people that are a million times more into the weed of the technicalities of everything. So Kyle's dad was big into hammock camping, and his brother started sewing their own hammocks. That was immediately where they found it's really hard to find high quality fibers or in fabric. A lot of us have laid in cheap hammocks. I feel like you're laying in a trash bag, or it's just kind of feels very plasticky. We're all pretty familiar with that feeling. Finding good, and they realized you don't have to lay in a trash bag. You can find good fabric. So about 12 years ago, Kyle came back from college. He's hanging out with his brother, and his brother was sewing these hammocks. Got in conversation. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? How's this going? How do you find your fabrics? And he ended up buying a bunch of rolls of fabric, posted it on an old thing. If you're familiar with hammock forms, then you're an OG, you know it's real. Hammock forms, and people were eating up that fabric. That's when Kyle realized some people want fabrics out of us out there. And in a very cliche sense, it has just risen from there, where it is, we started with hammock fabrics. Now we have over like 400 SKUs of different materials. We design our signature line. We distribute for X-Pac and Dyneema, as well as designing new fabrics pretty much every couple months.
So what year were you guys established in then, or
2014.
2014? Okay. Okay, cool. So I met you guys, the first time I met you was at Trail Days a few months ago, and you guys were crazy busy. And the more I meet a bunch of thru hikers and stuff like that, I meet them, and then I learn that, you know, you're on the trail, your head is just going all over the place. You got time to think, and it seems like there's a lot of make your own gear people out there and stuff like that. Do you find that the people that you supply the materials to, because there's a couple of people who had on the pod that get their material from you.
Yep.
And they're in their garage, literally making their stuff, and it's awesome quality stuff, and they kind of go with whatever sometimes you guys have versus they might have to wait for a certain material. But they started doing it that kind of way, like just a thought and an idea. Do you find that those people stay with you guys for a long time once they start getting small orders from you, even though they could probably go somewhere else? You guys seem to be able to supply and give a lot of variety, like you said, and push them in the right direction. It's like when I used to work at Apple, it would be like, I don't tell people what they need. I don't tell them what they want. I tell them what they need, right? It seems like you guys are helping them find what they need instead of the other people are just telling them what they want so they can sell that material to them or something.
We are changing how people are seeing how fabrics are made.
Yeah.
Why it's important to think about it. Or a lot of people look at us and like, well, you don't make it in Durham, so how involved can you be?
Yeah.
And we're very much changing the picture of how fabric can be developed and your relationship with the fabric as a brand. The biggest companies in the world, your Patagonias, your North Face, who we've also talked to in our brand. They have people, they can spend the money to send a whole team of people to Vietnam, to Korea to talk all those details out. And unless you have that size, it can be difficult to send a team over there to make all that happen. And that's where we come in. As a lot of people don't think that there are people domestically that can help source those fabrics, that have connections with the production facilities, that can do creative weave types and finishing types. And that picture has been hard to break down. It's not something a lot of people know is an option or even think about what we do. Because we started in the DIY space, people think of us maybe like a Joanne, right? Where they're like, oh yeah, fabrics are for little people, for little guys. And we totally had that for them. But that is really a pretty small portion of it, because it takes 10,000 DIYers to use the same amount of fabric that one company does.
Yeah.
And the companies that do work with us, they do stay with us. You have to directly answer that.
Yeah.
Once you have this connection of having people to talk to about fabric supply, where to get it, why to get it, to have someone run interference for you on QC, to help with the weaving flaws that happen, people do stay with us because they realize like, oh, this is saving me a ton of money, it's saving me a ton of time, and really the hassle of having to run out of your trade show and realizing there's a weaving flaw at my production facility now. How do I do this? That's where we would also help.
So doing it the way that you guys do it, then I'm sure you've had some cool wins with it, but I'm sure you've had some like, oh crap, this sucks, because you're doing it different than everybody else does. So like, what are some like, not warnings, but like what are some like, oh crap, this sucked back in the day, or this happened, that like, I'm sure you got tons of stuff. Because when I talk to a lot of people who make their own, not make their own gear, but companies that make their own products, they have material defects sometimes, or it's a sewing defect or something, and now they're out of that material or something. So like, what is like some crazy oh crap moments for you guys?
Oh man.
And some wins. So we don't want to just go down like, oh, this sucks, life sucks. But like, what were some great wins from that?
They're so dependent on the company and the fabric. I mean, there have been times
without throwing someone under the bus, right?
Of course. So I guess the first thing that comes to mind is last year we took a trip to our production partners, and we have partners in Korea, in China, and other companies. But we were in China, and we went to our production partner. They were really funny. They hung up this banner that said "Ripstop a real China branch." And it felt like an episode of From the Office, where it was like, "It is your birthday."
Yeah.
It felt like that kind of sign where it's like China branch. Amazing people. We had an amazing time, but we show up and they were really excited to show us this new fabric we call Venom 200 HPU. It's like this new super high-tech fabric, but it feels like a traditional pack cloth, which is kind of unique. If you're used to like the ultras or the Dyneema composite fabrics, they're really crinkly, they're really loud, and we made this one to feel like an old school pack cloth, but at the same level. Yeah. It's kind of the only one like it. Yeah, it's really neat. Anyway, we were going to go see that, and this is the first time we were seeing that material in person, been working on this development for, at that point, like a year and a half maybe.
Yeah.
And we show up, and on the weaving machine, which these really huge machines where the warp and the weft fibers are getting kind of chunked together.
Yeah.
Not the technical term, but they're right, they're getting pressed together and woven into this material, and we show up and it just looks like a bird's nest. Like it's just like a bird's nest is the best thing I can think of. If you've ever sewn, you get the nesting on the bottom like that, or if you just like shred a carpet apart in like construction, imagine that.
Okay.
And like this is like the material we're working on for a year and a half.
Oh man.
And it's just like fibers and and strings and yarns just sticking out everywhere, and we're all just kind of staring at it and looking at each other. We're like, okay, let's leave now. So that's kind of the
close that branch.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the warning sign is that when we initially started to design this fabric, they were like, we don't know if we can do this.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of pressing for the production partners, which is why we're here to be that voice to say, this can be done. You can do this. We can weave it this way. Like, we'll get the fibers. And now, fortunately, we have, we're sending that material to a company right now to make it into the first line of packs related to that material. And that's the win, is that we're sending thousands of yards to them right now to be the first to hunt. It's an ultralight hunting pack that made out of this, our custom woven material. That's going to be awesome to show all because it's silent and it's not shiny, it's not crinkly, and it has incredible pulse metrics. And but like it started by looking at the weaving machine, like all this excitement built up of a 17-hour flight and a 4-hour drive, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's all it's a nest. I guess it's not going to work.
It's always interesting because I think for a lot of people when they first come up with an idea, if they're a small brand and they're like, oh, I need material, they think that one, they have to buy a ton of material, but they also don't think they can have a voice in the type of material they're looking for because they're too small. Right. And so I feel like you guys take that and go like, hey, we can kind of be that voice because it also benefits you. And you're like, hey, that's a great idea. Let's see if we can help get that material made. It might take a while, right? Because it's just like, anything else, you go through 1,000 renditions of something to finally get the final product. And it's always great to know that people can go that route and have some confidence in getting something that's going to make their product. And then in the end, you guys can also have that material. So, if people are looking at creating a product or they have a new idea in their line, like what is the process? Do they just come to you and be like, hey, I have an idea for a material? Or is it, hey, I just need this material? And you're like, well, we don't have that, but maybe we can.
What we like to start with is applications. What is your product? What do you need it to do? And what are your pain points with current fabrics? Because most people that have made anything, they will have some gripe, and this is extremely natural, but also a soft good designer. Every fabric that you choose is going to have a version of a trade-off. Well, I love it, but I love this piece about it, but I didn't like this part. But it all starts from the application level to understand how do we design something that matches the final performance that you want it to have. So starting with having a product, knowing what you want it to do and what you don't want it to do, right? There's not one material that can do everything because it's not how physics work, like how chemistry and things. So understanding what it is you want it to do and then starting from that level. It's also why the DIY side really actually helps push the boundaries because we do a lot of our custom development before it may be needed by a company. We're always looking at what trends are happening in fabrics, but also what's currently missing and then developing that ourselves. Because oftentimes companies will not know what they need until they see it and they realize you have this material, this is awesome. How did you know? It's because it's our jobs. It's our job to, Carter, our senior product manager, this is kind of a fun anecdote. Every backpack I like, I'll send to him. And he goes, yep, I already saw that. It's it's these materials. This is why it's in this is what you should look out for. Because it's his job to be extremely aware of every product out there, every material that's out there to say, this is why we may want that. This is why you may not want that. This is the benefit, the pros, the cons based on the fiber composition, things like that. But it's also why we are developing so many signature lines, which has been a fun challenge for me on the marketing side because we're not the biggest name and convincing somebody why they should use this new material they've never heard of before can be a hard sell. But also we have to kind of try those developments on the back end to be able to have them accessible. So when a company says, hey, we want this, we're like, cool, already got it. Here's several yards so you can test it right away.
So do you find are you guys pretty busy to the point where there's a wait list, or is it easy for people to come? I guess if you have stuff in stock, right, it's easy. But if I'm like, hey, I have this idea for a bag, or I have idea for a fanny pack, right? can I be like, can you just tell me, hey, I think this is the best material for that? For someone who's like me, I'm an idiot. I'm like, I have an idea for something, but I have no idea what material to use.
Absolutely. So we're extremely involved from top down. The CEO is still involved in conversations about what material you may want to choose if you're a company, right? You'll get me if you message Instagram right now. So if you you could message the Instagram account right now as a company or a maker and just say, I would like to make an ultralight backpack. Price is the most, I need this to be budget friendly, and I'll give you a list of 3 materials that are budget friendly, that are great pack fabrics, that will probably come in a few different colors for you, right? Just because people have color references. And that's a big part of what we do, because that's never been an option for other people. You get the cheapest fabrics that you can touch and feel at a fabric store, if you still have one near you, which you probably don't now that you're close to. Or you can be a company that has all the access, and you're going to go, but you're going to get no feedback and no interaction. Or you're going to get probably strange communication at bad times of day that you can't, you never get to talk to somebody. But yeah, very much any product that you could want, if you message us, then either it's going to be me, the CEO, or our wholesale rep, or the senior product manager directly having feedback or input on what products you will probably want that I've been tested on thousands of packs.
You're a wealth of knowledge, bro. Like I'm sitting here trying to make mental notes of everything. Okay, maybe I should make a bag now, because basically I just tell you what to do and then you can just make it for me. But then I got to market it, and then I got to sell it, and I got to do all the other things.
I would say one of my, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
I think the thing that I've learned most, because I sewed just before I started, because I wanted to, I wanted to say I sewed on the interview, and I wasn't going to lie, right? I was like, let me sew some. And now I have my own brand. That's the rabbit hole that I've dove down, because what I realized is fabric is everywhere. And that's the thing that I've taken, I think, from this job more than anything else, is understanding and appreciating how some of the first decisions we make every day are based on the fabric that we put on our body. Right? When we go to bed, we're jumping into our bed that is fabric, right? You have sheets, it's lining your mattress. There are so many fabric decisions that we make, and understanding. And I don't know that much compared to fiber scientists. I don't know that much compared to Carter and Kyle companies. But what I do know, the little that I do know, makes me appreciate so much more, which is why now I started my own brand, because I'm like, well, I really want my bag to work this way, and I love this fabric, and I want it to function and feel like this. And just dipping my toe into the deep world of fabric not only has been exciting, but also very insightful, because I just appreciate what's around me more. Like the clothes I choose, the things that I make now are all more intentional decisions.
It'd be interesting to see how your brain works, when you're in a material space, because you probably, like when I go to the movies, because I used to do a lot of video, I still do video and share that, but I'll go and I'll pick apart a movie. My wife's like, can you just shut up and watch the movie? I'm like, no, but I'm like, how they film that and how they do this. And so you're like, oh, I wonder what this shoe material is made of. I wonder what this is made of. Oh, this feels like this. Well, this is probably going to last this long or whatever. So, being in the outdoor space, right? How do you still stay connected to the outdoors? Because you guys seem like you're so busy all the time. I know you're at, I saw your trail days. I'm sure you're at a bunch of other stuff, conferences and stuff like that. So in the outdoor space, you can kind of get disconnected sometimes. So how do you, or does the team do anything to stay connected to the outdoors?
It starts with the people for us, that we have people that are super involved in the outdoor space. I mean, Lance, mentioning Prince everybody in the company, because we're small, there's less than 20 people at our company, and we do all of our own fulfillment. So you met everybody pretty much this week at Switchback that's in the office, and the other half are sending the orders. So you have to get all those orders out. But our people are really involved. Lance hiked the AT. He's an ultralight hiker kind of naturally. So he's tried all the different tents that he likes in his own. He's tried his packs. Carter's also an ultralight hiker and ultralight hammocker. He's worked with countless of companies on designs for naturally insulated hammocks and embedded things. I have my own brand. I'm a runner, climber, cyclist. Kind of a Swiss Army knife that's good at nothing but loves everything. This is what we do. Like Carter and I will send stuff back and forth to each other, because it's what we're interested in outside of this. So that's what it is for us. I mean, Kyle's a climber. This is what we're going to spend our personal time on. So learning about the current products it is work, and we have to separate that for our own health and well-being. But it's what we're interested in anyway. So we don't have to force it too much.
Well, it's good to hear that you guys are outdoors people, because there are, there's always companies out there that they have a product and they're really not into the space that they're in. And you can still be successful in a space that you're not in. So you're going to be a lot more successful, and people are going to have a lot more. You're going to have a lot more credit to you if you're like, oh, like I hiked AT.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot about material. I'm not just like spitting out numbers because I read them on a piece of paper. I literally sat in the rain, and the rain didn't come through.
Yeah.
And this packed light, so I know this is going to work for me. So
that's a huge difference too. Like everyone wants to see a spec sheet, which is amazing. And looking at the hydrostatic head of a material is awesome. And they're important to have, but also there's an enormous difference between how something performs in a lab and how it performs in real life. There's obviously a connection to that. Like rain is not going to penetrate, a fabric that has a certain testing, but how that rain rolls off, how the material stretches when it is like the way the rain is rolling off, how it handles in the wind. Like there's a lot of pieces that you can't measure otherwise. And that's, plus I just think as the marketing person, it's the best thing I can speak to. I can't market stuff that I don't care about. Like I can't even fake it. Like whether it's like moral or not, I wouldn't, it isn't for me. But also like I wouldn't be stoked about going to work if it was some random thing.
So have you guys ever had materials that you're like, we need to discontinue this because it's just not working, because I can sell it and make money on it, but it's really just, we don't believe in the fabric because it's just, I'm sure it comes and goes as the industry changes through the years.
Yeah. We haven't had a fabric like that in that instance where like we don't feel good about it yet. We've pivoted our fabrics and moved to like all like C0 DWR. Like we've changed, and that's, I mean, we kind of call them levers. Like if you take the base material, you have these different levers or like these buttons, and imagine like an organ, like you have all these like stops you can pull and push in based on if you want this amount of like a polyurethane coating or polyether urethane coating, or like you can do all these different things, and we've changed that. So like C0 DWRs on all of our like new line of fabrics for the PFAS and forever chemical campaigns and things like that. So we've altered them. But for the most part, like we haven't had one that's been just the worst thing ever that we had to pull. We've definitely deboarded on colors, certain colors we brought on years ago. I'm trying to, like hot pink is one, which is funny. Like a lot of people like, oh, like please bring more pink colors on. And we always joke that we bring on other colors just for black to be the top symbol. Because that's always what it is. Like the black is always the number one seller. Just funny because everybody's like, oh, like this would be really cool in this color. And then like 5 yards sell.
No, I saw like everybody's come out with like a hot pink item now this past year.
It does seem to be a thing this year. Maybe we were 1 year early on the deboard.
I was like, oh, hot pink, okay, cool. And I'm saying that, and I even have like it's not hot pink, but it's like I guess peachy kind of color. I love this color, but my shoes. But do you guys? How far ahead of you are you guys in the trends? Are you guys looking at trends, or are your clients that are asking for stuff looking for trends, or is there a combo of the two?
Combination for sure. So we'll do custom developments with companies with colors and whatnot that we won't have based on their own research. But yeah, we spent a lot of time this week alone talking about color trends. A couple of companies were like, hey, you're looking at a couple of seasons away. What colors do you all see, just to compare notes? Because it does feel like one of the harder things to nail. It feels really subjective. Some people nail it very frequently, and obviously they have they're finding the corner. But it's a lot of just studying what's around and then a little bit of intuition. We're coming up, one of my favorite fabrics is our 210D Venom. It's like a basic grid stop material. It's not basic in the way that we made it, but it's basic in terms of like everyone sees like, oh yeah, I've seen something like that before. And we're coming out with 4 new colors, and we ended up on dust, brick, coyote, and marigold. The reason I say all of that is like, we were coming with these new colors. We wanted a warm color palette. We had a cooler one, like a green, blue, orange. Like we kind of had these cool colors. We wanted to go for a warm. And when we were talking about it, like what do we see? But also, what do we think people want? And brick is one of those colors that like we see this natural trend happening right now, like a natural tone, right? People want like these neutral, earthy pieces, but they want something that like stands out above just like creams. Which is funny for some of us because like I'm a pretty neutral colored dresser. Like I like a neutral tone. So sometimes it's hard for me to think outside the box. But I'm optimistic as walking around the show today. I'm like, I think these are going to be good. Like the brick red I've seen some other examples of. The marigold is like a huge like pop of color.
That's still being a lot of that too. I love that color. And I'm like, so I shot wedding. I always say this on the pod, but I've shot weddings for years and stuff like that. So every year they come and they say the Pantone of the year is this.
Always.
And then every bride has, and they just follow the trend, and I get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I've got to I usually ask the questions on the colors. So I kind of now know a lot about colors and palettes, because it really works when I take pictures.
Sure.
Those colors really can be punchy and work.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's really hard when the trend is like really neutral hidden tones, trying to make those clothing or those things pop with pictures. So when I had like the nice marigold colors and those colors I was like, yes, I love a color pop, because in the mountains, it's not overly punchy, but it just, it looks
perfect contrast, like the color. Yeah. No, I love it. I always tell people when they're like talking about like design theories, like always add a third color. Like a lot of people start with two.
Yeah.
Oh, I want like these two blends.
Yeah.
But like a third as like an accent is always like the perfect way to round it out, to like bring a full palette without just feeling like a binary, like everything is either black or white.
Yeah.
It's like, but that blue makes it like a cool thing.
Yeah.
You know, like always add a third thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess switching gears a little bit, kind of from your perspective, where are some of the craziest things that you guys have seen your product being used? Because I'm sure people always think it's just backpacks, but I'm sure people have made some interesting products right out of your stuff that you're like, oh, I never even thought they could make it with that.
Yeah. Immediate off the top of my head, we were Lance and I were just talking about somebody that makes parachutes. It's like parachute material.
Okay.
Like it makes sense, but I've made hundreds of items. I made 133 things last year alone. I kept track one year just to see what it would what numbers it would hit. I sew a lot, all that to say. I trust my sewing. I would never parachute off something that I sew. So that blows my mind. We've had a bunch of people like wingsuits.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Which is so rad, also terrifying. Parachutes, wingsuits, gliders.
Okay.
Like both gliders, like hang gliders, but then also like windsurfing.
Okay.
Sails, I guess.
That's interesting, because I think we always just think tents and backpacks.
Yep.
Right? But
totally,
like you said, materials everywhere.
Yeah.
If the material fits the job,
it
makes sense to use it for that job.
Yeah. Those are some of the most, I think, epic or like rad applications I've heard of. You're like, that's crazy. There's also so many random obscure ones, like a sign company is about like billboard company just bought like, I don't know, 10,000 yards or something from us. It made sense once I like talked to Lance, like, okay, I get that now. It's not something that I would have initially thought about. It's like there's some obscure applications too. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. We've had like, I don't know how to say this in the best way, like a male lingerie company. I buy like mesh from us. You're like, yeah.
Well, as long as it wasn't Dyneema.
Okay, yeah. It was not the same effect, if you know what I mean. Like, you're like, yeah, for sure. That's totally an application.
Yeah.
Okay. There's some like obscure ones too, where you're like, that's.
Yeah, I never totally is like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so if somebody's, they have a company and stuff like that, and what could you say to people who are starting a brand, or they have a brand and they're looking for materials? What are you looking for from companies when they come to you initially?
I was going to say anything. It's like the worst podcast answer ever. As someone who also does the podcast.
That's very vague answer.
Yeah, exactly. Like a one-word answer. You have a product.
Yeah.
If you have a product and you need material, that's what we look at.
Yeah.
And it really is that, I'll try to be more specific for the sake of.
Yeah. No, you're good.
But because there are so many applications, like from like completely unthought of apparel applications to signage to like parachutes and everything in between. If you need a product with a material, then we can help you in some way.
Yeah.
Whether you're looking for like 5 yards or you do want to do a custom lot of 10,000. And what we do with you in there will change based on what you're looking for. But it really is like, do you have a product and do you know what you need? Then we're happy to help you do that.
Yeah.
As long as your product uses fabric of any kind, we can do that. If you want to be removed fully and you want us to work directly with your factory, to work with your production partners to help get the material to you so that you can sew into your final product, cool. You can be hands off.
Yeah.
We'll manage the communication. We'll make sure QC is there.
Yeah.
We'll do those things too. If you want to be extremely involved, you want to come to Durham and do our shop, check out materials, get hands on everything. Sew with it in this makerspace a little bit. Then you can do that too.
That's cool. So you guys have a makerspace there as well?
We do. Yeah. It's It's one of my favorite offices in the building. I built 2 rooms there when we moved into our new warehouse. Again, small company, 20 people, only so much space. When it came to, we moved into this new 40,000 square foot warehouse a couple of years ago, and there were 2 rooms that were mine. It was the content space and the maker space, and they're right next to each other. So Isaac and I hung every panel in the content room for where our podcasts and our videos are shot, and then next to that is our maker space where we have our sewing machines, our huge cutting table, things like that. But we like to say by makers for makers, because the company, not only are we outdoor related, but also all of us are makers. Like Kyle started sewing with his brother when they started the Appalachia Hammocks, their hammock company. Carter's an original hammock forms guy. He has made hundreds of hammocks and designed all his things. I do the same. We're still makers at heart. When we get a fabric in, like I'm typically sewing the very first prototype of material because I want to see how it feels, how it reacts. What's it like when I seam seal? What's it like when I do a French feld seam? Like I want to do everything with this material so that when I'm talking to somebody, when I'm creating the content and making a podcast about that fabric, I can speak earnestly about it, but then also like understand those applications, which is why it's also, that answer is so vague. It's not like I can't be like, well, talk to this guy about how this fabric is. That's why trail days is so fun. He's just somebody came up to me at trail days. He's like, my mom made this. And he like flings out this summer weight backpack he built. And he's like, I bought fabrics from you. I don't know how to sew, but my mom does. So we pop this thing open and like, this is the thing that I made. And it's so much fun because like we still care about that as much as I want to go talk to like a $50 million company here about their fabrics, you know?
Yeah, no, that's cool. You guys have the passion behind it instead of just some factory that just whatever. It's like, no, you understand it and everything else. You know, I've never tried hammock camping. I have a bit of a bad back, and so that's always my excuse for not trying it but I know like you're not sleeping like a banana.
No.
You're sleeping on like this angle, and I've talked to many hammock people that have been like, well, you haven't tried it and stuff. I have all the hammock stuff at home to do it. And I always just take it to like the woods when we go camping, and the kids will just swing in it and stuff. But I'm like, I'll try it one day. No, but it's great to hear that you guys are genuinely outdoors people. And that's what I like having on the pod is people who are genuinely passionate about the company. I don't think we're ever going to have anybody on. It's like, oh, I have a tent company. Have you ever been camping? Nope.
That would be wild.
So what do we talk about that?
I think especially in the age that we're in with technology, AI, et cetera. I don't mean this to be like any sort of soapbox or anything, but I think people are really excited about companies that are fully involved with a story and personality. And that's kind of aside from like politics or company development. It's just people want to work with good people that they feel like understand what they're doing because it also helps their business. And we're very involved in that. I mean, again, it's a small company. I'm in meetings daily with the CEO. We ate dinner last night. We're the same Airbnb. Like, there's only so many of us, but we are trying to have the largest impact we can in terms of bringing the best fabrics to people. So that it's not just the world's biggest companies dominating with all the cool stuff. Everybody else has like leftover polyester crap.
Well, that's what's good about this trade show and other trade shows is like you meet people that you've maybe only had phone calls with, you know, even if you had a Zoom with them and everything. And it's like, you know, they're probably good people, but when you can actually sit there and really read their body language and talk to them, and then you go, okay, I can do business with a person. I'm sure you've met people before. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do business with this person. You know, I will take your money, but maybe I do say no because I know this person might be a headache and stuff like that. And that's usually few and far between. It's very rare, those kind of people. But like I've talked to so many people and they're like, man, it's so great talking to you, or even just meeting you in person. Cause you were at Trail Days, right? And I don't think we met. I was like, they're so busy with everybody just like geeking out over Ripstop by the roll that I was like, I'll leave them alone. And then meeting earlier yesterday and then today, it's like, okay, these are good guys. I would totally work with them. They seem honest and genuine because you can read so much, and this is just a rant right now, but like you can read.
Appreciate it. I like what you're saying.
But you can read so much into somebody, and so if you have a company out there, or if you're thinking about working with another company, you definitely have to. You know, I've always learned that meeting them face to face. Even when I was doing 40, 50 weddings a year. I would meet with every bride before I booked with them. Because I was like, okay, and I've turned down 2 weddings out of those weddings because I realized when I met them, I was like, you know what, this person's going to be a nightmare. They're too demanding. They're just going to be a nightmare after I book them. And so like, you know what, I as much as I need money to pay my bills, this is going to turn into a huge headache.
Oh yeah.
And then I had, and then I had someone else that needed the same date anyways. And so it ended up working out.
Yeah.
So it's great. I mean, you guys are good people and everything else. So maybe just since we're at the trade show, before we kind of cut off, is what are some things that you guys look for when, you know, you're going to a trade show and stuff like that? Because I think a lot of people that are listening probably haven't gone to a trade show.
Sure.
And they're like, okay, what am I in some, every trade show is different. Sometimes it's an industry one versus consumers are coming, and sometimes it's both.
Yep.
You know, so what are you guys looking for, or what do you think most people are looking for at a trade show when you come as a business?
I think most people at this show specifically, I think most people, well, at any trade show, I think they're looking for connection. Like, yes, from like a philosophical level, I think they're looking for connection and to not be that awkward person sitting in a corner being like, what do I do?
Yeah.
For us, we're looking for any company with fabrics.
Yeah.
Like at Trail Days we go because there's DIYers. Yeah. And we feature other cottage companies at Trail Days. Like our booth, we pay for them to come, and like we had Ryan Campbell from the Wandering Goat. He makes the coolest packs out of like 100 square foot bedroom in his house, but they look like they're coming off the production floor in Vietnam. It's so awesome. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
So we like we like to feature those people at Trail Days. So there we're looking to meet with makers and just make connections with our customers, especially at a place like a Trail Days event where there's so many cottage companies and these niche outdoor brands. Yeah. We show up for them there because that's one of the only places we can all get together from all over the country. At a place like this was our first event too. Yeah. Our first event of this size. Yeah. At least. And for us, we showed up really just to test it out. Yeah. And COVID was amazing for us on a business level. Yeah. Obviously everyone struggled, I think, some version mentally and maybe physically during COVID. But our business was booming because everyone was outdoors and at home, which is great for people sewing, great for cottage companies. But we got really stuck behind the computer. Yeah. We were so slammed. We hired like 3 people in a year. It was unbelievable, but it made us retreat a lot more. Yeah. So for this was kind of somewhat a note to ourselves to get out. Yeah. And we didn't know what to expect exactly. We were optimistic. Yeah. But earlier I was personally hyped because I coordinated this event for us. Yeah. I kind of made us go. Yeah. And the CEO was like, I think this was good. I think this is worth it. Yeah. And as an employee, I'm like, oh, thank God. Yeah. That's so relieved when the CEO was stoked, because we were able to have, not only do we see customers, but we made a lot of connections with people like, hey, we actually are really struggling with our fabric supply. Like, can you help us? Yeah. And it was reassuring to us. We're like, oh yeah, this is something that some people are looking for and don't know where to look. Yeah. If you don't go to the functional fabrics, or maybe if you do go to the functional fabric fairs of the world, or if you used to go to OR, the supplier showcase and things like that, even that can be overwhelming, and it doesn't feel like you have a fabric partnership. It kind of feels like you're handed what you get, and you get what you get and you don't ask for more mentality. And that's very much not what we've been trying to do. I mean, a cliche phrase that Kyle used to say to me is like, I want to make fabric cool again. Yeah. He was like, technical fabric is really fun. Like it's interesting to know what it can do. Yeah. And when I'm talking to somebody that's like in a suit or in a button down and they're just spewing metrics at me, he's like, it's not cool. It's like, it's cool to see what it can do. Yeah. And it's cool to see what can be done. He's like, so let's make it interesting and make it put personality back into it, which is why we do so much on social. Like I know, sadly, everyone has seen my face in the ads, like, oh, I've seen your ads recently. I'm like, oh God, not this face. Yeah. But we're trying to bring some personality back into it.
So you had fun at the show, made a lot of good connections and stuff like that. I guess before we end, if people are looking for Ripstop by the roll, or they have ideas they want to spit off on you guys, how would they find Ripstop?
Ripstopbytheroll.com, Ripstop by the Roll on Instagram, really the best places. We're extremely active on Instagram. Yeah. I'm there every single day answering virtually every single message myself right now. So if you want to chat, go ahead, reach out. But also, if you're a business and you're looking to start talking about sourcing, custom sourcing, or you just want basic, we have a fantastic wholesale program for any business. So you just email wholesale@ripstopbytheroll.com. You immediately get 10% off your orders. We make that easy. There's very clear pricing on the site for bulk. If you need to order 50 yards or 80 yards, it tells you how much the discount break would be there. But then also Lance is the best account manager you could ask for. He's personally here walking around to every one of our customers and saying hi, and he's extremely responsive. I mean, he was on the couch this morning at like 5:30 during the tornado, responding to stuff because he was awake, because we all woke up from the alarm. All woke up. But the goal is to make it responsive. So you're not getting emails at 3 a.m. and only coordinating people, in Asian time frame. So Yeah, that's ripstoproller.com. Ripstoproller on Instagram. Can I plug our podcast?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
If you happen to be a maker, then our podcast, as far as I know, is still the only podcast for makers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sewing podcasts. There's a lot of like outdoor gear podcasts. All amazing. This is kind of the only one in its space. We talk about technical fabrics, making your own gear, and gear design in general. So we have soft good designers, we have technical fabric designers, we have companies, but it's very much focused on gear making, sewing, and things like that. But Ripstop on the record, it's been fun.
On the records? No, it's not that kind of record, but
it's actually kind of funny to be here with you, Craig. It's not only do we almost do no in-person interviews, but also I've been a guest. This is my second time ever. I've done 151 episodes of a podcast, but I've never been on this side of it. So it's kind of weird. I'm glad I didn't ask you too many questions. In my head, I was just like, oh, this is what I would ask now. I'm like, nope, don't start grilling Craig.
That's good. I like to ask the questions and let you talk because I talk way too much. My wife always tells me to shut up. All right, so before we say goodbye to everybody, I always like to do the rapid fire round.
Okay.
So I'll just ask you a couple of quick questions. They're kind of one-word answers, but you can answer them long if you want. But first question I always love asking is your favorite national park?
Death Valley.
Death Valley, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just went there last year. My wife was like, this is crazy. Who would come here?
We almost didn't go. That was my one word. Caveat to that is we almost didn't go. We did, like my family did like a small national park tour like 10 years ago. And that one was cool because we weren't planning. I was like, I can't be that cool. It looks kind of lame. And we went there and just explored for like the whole day. And it was the coolest thing ever because it feels like you're on Mars. But there's so many other beautiful parks like Cascades, incredible. Acadia, amazing. Smoky Mountains, like breathtaking, incredible. But Death Valley was the first one that I was like, whoa, this feels like I'm in Star Wars.
Yeah. It's crazy. And they have a race that goes from Death Valley all the way up to Whitney. And I'm just like, after I drove that, I was like, who would run this? I'm an ultra runner. And I would never run that. I would try. I would try.
I am kind of interested. I'm not going to lie. I probably won't, but I am curious. You know, I don't like the heat that much, but I'm still curious because Death Valley was awesome.
Yeah. All right, next question. We'll go favorite trail snack first.
It's a candy, and currently I would probably say Nerd Gummy Cluster.
Okay, that's like the top one.
Is that the one right now?
Out of every 1 out of every 3 people has Nerd Gummy Cluster. Okay, so that's my go-to.
Let me give a second one then, if you don't mind, because I don't want to just do like the basic thing. Whenever I'm doing long runs, I would like to pack like a small tortilla with Nutella. Because they pack really well. They're really flat, and it's just nice to have something that's not only high for corn syrup, which I do love. Don't get me wrong, I'm not above it.
So I do the same thing. I do when I'm on the trail. I'll bring a pack of tortillas. And then Nutella. And then almond butter. And then maybe if I have a banana, I'll put it in there, and it'll be like
trail move.
Like oh my gosh, like sometimes it tastes better on the trail.
Oh, for sure.
Than it does in real life, but that tastes better any time of the day.
Or cookie butter, like Julia's cookie butter and the tortillas.
Kind of really hungry now because I haven't had lunch yet. So what is the worst trail snack you've ever tried?
The worst specifically, it was I think a coconut flavored gel. I was doing a long run with my buddy, and he loves the gel things. I particularly have a distaste for their texture and consistency. And the coconut one, everything about it, color, texture, it was hot. That I've never really thrown up on a run before, and that was the closest I've ever come to just like I'm quitting this run because of this gel.
I hate gels. They're just, after I've tried so many other ones now, because I thought gels were the only thing for the longest time, and I was like, there are a few, but I just don't like how they sit in my throat.
No, absolutely. That's exactly.
Sometimes they burn and stuff. So, okay. So, let's go to
moldy granola bar. That was bad. That just made sense. Like I was like, of course it is. It's old. It's moldy. Yeah.
Well, unless you have what is it they make like it for insulin? Right?
Oh,
like if you have diabetes, you could eat a moldy. I was joking and tell my kids if you have diabetes, you could eat. I know it's not real. You have to process stuff first. All right, so going business side of it, what maybe one of the biggest splurges you guys have ever had that you made for your business?
We have a really, really cool, I think it's Swiss, cutter. Okay. It's like, I'm making up this number because I was not a part of the receipt. Like a $500,000 like continuous feed cutter. what it does is that you can load a roll of fabric on, and then we can cut out like tent panels or tarp panels that you can like continually pull off, so that way you have a finished product. I haven't talked about this yet. Small plug. We do cutting and printing, so we can print on technical fabric. So you can do like a picture of your dog. You can do a pattern. Like we can print that onto a fabric. So you have like a really cool pattern. But we also do cutting so that people can get their panels cut out to send to the sewing facility. But yeah, it's this massive cutter. It's just super high tech and crazy looking and really cool.
That's why I like this podcast, because I don't have to spend all the money. I just listen to the stories and go, there's no way I would ever start a business, because that is just scary to just go, okay, I think we need to spend $500,000 or whatever money on it. Okay.
There's a cool video on Instagram of that cutter. Really? Just made like 2 weeks ago. Okay, that's why you should go follow.
I'll totally check it out then. Let's say, I'm trying to think of like a good question that would kind of go with it, but maybe an app that you guys can't live without for work.
The boring answer is probably like the shipping app that all of our orders go through. Whatever that's called. Yeah, probably that one. Because whenever that goes down, it's just absolute disaster. So that one, I would say like the more creative or fun answer for me would be like the landing page builder. Because I'm always building custom landing pages based on campaigns or fabrics, or maybe it's as simple as like we did a blog post or a landing page for like the best bike bag fabrics. And just it's pretty easy and simple to whip it together from some photos and let people know. And then a couple weeks later, someone's like, "Oh, I made this bike bag." And that's really fulfilling. But also, I like the ease of landing pages nowadays. I remember trying to build them like 20 years ago, and it was pretty awful.
All right, next one is mountains, desert, coast, or water.
Mountains.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then off of that one is tent, hammock, or cowboy camping.
Being from the East Coast, never really cowboy camped before. I did technically once, but the bugs and moisture are both completely unbearable here. So right now I'm in a big tent kick. I have hammock camped a bunch because my best friend is Carter, and he has literally 27 hammocks. So I tried all of his. Do love hammock camping. But right now, I have this tarp tent Stratospire Li tent that just feels like an absolute palace. It's enormous. You can spread out at night, and there's like pockets on the side, and it's Dyneema, so it's really light. And I brought that on both backpacking and bikepacking trips over the last handful of months, and that thing just makes me happy every time I set it.
That's cool. I feel like I love tent technology, and I hate it because I have a favorite tent that I like to take, but then since I shoot for other companies and stuff, and they're like, "Hey, can you pick this tent, or do I need to shoot with this tent because it's going to photograph better for someone's quilt or something like that?" And I'm like, "Oh, but I just want to go back to this because it's like going back after a trip and you go into your own bed at home." I'm most comfortable in that.
Wait, what's your favorite tent right now?
I can't tell you that.
Fair enough. Okay.
I can't tell you that one. I guess I could. No, I can't.
What's your least favorite?
My least favorite. That would be bad too, because I don't have a least favorite tent. I do have a least favorite tent, but it's a giant canvas tent that I try to use with the family and stuff like that. I just don't like the smell of a canvas tent when it gets old. It just smells like my childhood, and my childhood wasn't that good. So I'm like, I don't want to remember my childhood.
It's just immediate PTSD.
Yeah, we're going way down the rabbit hole now.
That's awesome.
Okay, and then last question would be, if you could collaborate with any brand, who would it be and why?
Oh man, I love that. I'm going to say
This could be you guys or the company or yourself. You're like, oh, this would be a great idea.
Yeah, okay, I'll answer that helps. I'll give two different answers, I guess. On a personal level, there's this Japanese designer, I think his name is Tabuse.
Yeah.
I do not remember his last name.
Yeah.
I'm not going to insult him by trying to say it. But he, as a fellow pack designer, I love like running vest style packs.
Yeah.
He has really clean design aesthetic, amazing lines, like aesthetic across the pack with amazing functionality and great colorways. Like he has really neutral, kind of like earthy inspired, but also like high tech looking running vests and belts and whatnot that are extremely function forward, which I love. So I think his stuff is really, really rad. He just got his packs into a store up in New York.
Okay.
So I think the first time his bags in America or something like that. So I think he's really cool.
Yeah.
that one. As a company, I'm gonna say we have some big companies in terms of like volume, but not too many big companies like a North Face, Patagonia. So I'm gonna say probably like an Arc'teryx. Like when I think about high tech fabrics and very design forward companies, Arc'teryx is one of the first people that comes to mind. So I think for them, like if we could do a partnership, a fabric with them, the Ripstop by the roll, Arc'teryx material, that would be really fun. Because I think they normally push the boundaries with materials, and that's also what we like to do.
Well, let's go. I mean, they're like right on the other side of the wall. We'll walk in right afterwards. We're like, hey guys, so can we, listen to this podcast? And they get back with us. Awesome. Well, Jameson, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for letting Ripstop, and your team is awesome. Meeting everybody today, and all the best to you guys for the rest of the show today. And guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We can't wait for the next episode to come out. Make sure you share with your friends and everything else. And again, awesome. Just thanks so much. I've never been in person, so I was like, what do I do?
I know.
Usually it's just like a FaceTime, and I'm like,
just wait.
Do I do this? And I shake the screen. So awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Look, thank you.